Good morning, friends. Well, this is a day of celebration and gratitude. First, to begin, I thank so much Dharmarajan and Dharmini, who came here 10 years ago, lived in a tiny little apartment, which was also the center. Many of us went there, we remember. They had a little room, little kitchen, center, and little by little, because of their love and love for God and Guru and selflessness, now here we are. And I don't want to scare you, but I think this is only the beginning. I want to thank our dear friends who helped manifest this space, as one can feel the kindness, the generosity, the skill, the creativity that went into it. And then all of our dear friends in Chennai who have been devoted, serving, attending, giving your joy and your love. And then, of course, thanking our dear friend, Sri Kartikeyanji, who whenever we would falter, even when Swamiji was in the body, can we do this? He would say, yes, we can do this. This is how we can do it. And he would always help us to, coming from the West to a different culture, we are strangers in a strange land. And he always made us feel everything is possible and helped us to manifest so many things. So thank you for that. And finally, thanking Master and Swamiji. What I've been asked to speak about is thanking them for their gift of the How to Live teachings. And most of you have learned meditation. I dare say all of you. Most of you have Kriya. But it's very touching to us. Recently, my brother sent me a photo of me that I didn't remember. I was about 5 years old, and I was in the midst of a family. There was a big family function, and everybody was busy and running around. And I was just standing, looking at the camera like, what am I doing here? And I looked at that picture, and I thought, I remember that feeling all through my childhood. This isn't my world. I'll be here, I'll do what you like, but it's not my world. And I have to say, when I look out at many of you, and I look at your eyes, I see that same quality, that you're looking for something else, that this world, even if it's perfect, and we all know it's not, but it's not what we're looking for. And so our great masters came and they said, we will give you techniques and practices that will help you raise your consciousness. But as well as that, we will help you to understand how to live in this world which doesn't feel comfortable to us. We don't know. How do we relate to people whose only desires are for outward achievement and accomplishment and acquisition? How do we relate to this world? And so they show us how we get along with others, how we can see other people in their highest way and relate to them that way. This was one of the great gifts Swami Kriyananda gave to all of us, particularly Nayaswami Jaya and Jyotish and I and Haridas and many others. We were there the first year, 1969-70, at Ananda Village. We were brand new to the path. We knew nothing. But Swami helped us believe in our own spiritual potential. He would come into a room, look at all of us, brand new, struggling with our own issues, and he would say, good morning, all you great souls. And we would look around to see who had come in the room. Couldn't be talking to us, but he was. because he saw our potential, and he showed us how to relate to other people that way. And it's because of that where all of you who come, I know Dharmaraj and Dharmini, Hari and Roma, Bhavani and Aditya, all of our center leaders, Dayan Keshava, Vipa, I don't want to, Jayanti, forgive me if I forget anybody, I don't mean to, Shamani and Bharat, Narayani and Shurjo, that's what they do. Swami taught us how to make everyone feel you have a spiritual potential to find God, nothing less. And by living in this way, by sharing in this way, people gain faith in their own selves. That's what happened to us. And Swami taught us also how to live in such a way that you put out energy. Don't wait for other people to do it. We always had to be careful at Ananda with Swamiji, because if we would make a comment, someone isn't doing a good job in this area, he would say, oh really? You do it then. And so we learn never to point out weaknesses. One of our members, you probably know Nayaswami Nitai, who works with Education for Life, he had been a public school teacher before coming to Ananda Village, and the community was just starting. And Nitai came to Swamiji and he said, Swamiji, there are children here, families, they have no schools. We need to train them and teach them. And Swami said, you are right. Can you start a school? Start a system of education that helps them grow spiritually. We had nothing at the time, so this is the truth. Nitai cleaned up an old chicken coop. Dirty chicken droppings, feathers. He cleaned it up, put little pictures on the chicken wire. That was the first How to Live school. And now there's a lot happening globally. But the gift that these masters give us is to say, you can do it. Don't think it's beyond your scope. Dharmini and Dharmaraj, they wanted to build a bigger temple. How will we do it? And we were talking at dinner with Dharmini, and she was explaining how she would cut out little models of what could be and what could go here. But the gift of the teachings to say, if it can be done, you can do it. And this is how Ananda is transforming the world. I remember many years ago, we were having a work day. We have a beautiful retreat, and I hope many of you can come someday, called The Expanding Light. And it was being built, and we were having a big all-community work day, which had been planned for quite a long time. The day dawned, it was pouring rain, really, really hard. And everyone looked around, and the people who had organized it said, well, come on, let's get to work. So we were all drenched. But one young man was a very sweet young man. He was probably in his early 20s, very sensitive young man. He had had cancer as a young boy, and he had one of his legs amputated. So he had an artificial leg, a prosthesis. His job was to go on the roof and put down the shingles. And on a dry day, it would have been challenging for someone who only had an artificial leg. On a pouring rain day, everyone said, oh, maybe you shouldn't go. He said, no, I said I would do it. I can do it. He was up there all day long, nailing down the shingles. He got down. And mind you, these are not trained people. It's just us doing it. And so someone showed him how to hammer down the shingles. And he did. And he came down, and at the end of the day, he said, there's no way I could have done that but with God's grace. And that's what we need to learn. Master said, bite off more than you can chew, and then chew it. And that's the story of Ananda. I look at my dear friend who just laughed, Jaita. I think, can you stand? She's in charge of what we call the Paramahansa Yogananda Trust in Brindaban. You can sit down. And recently Brindaban was flooded. The Yamuna River overflowed its banks. She and her crew went out and delivered water, food, clothes, blankets in boats to hundreds of people, on tractors through fields that had been flooded. And I asked her, how did you know how to do that? She said, oh, it was easy. There's many tractors in that area because they're farmers, and people, because of the river, there's lots of boats. So we just went out. Many hands make a miracle, but living the teachings, it isn't theoretical, and it isn't easy. It's giving it everything you have and looking to see what can be done. If it's worth doing, Lord, give me the ability to do it. And then finally, the ability, the teachings that come, that we are all brothers and sisters. We are all, God loves us all as his children. And Swamiji walked through the world as a beacon of love. And we could tell you many, many stories. One little one, he was in the hospital. He had just had hip replacement surgery, always something. And he wanted to get out of his room. Jyotish and I were with him. And he said, I'll go in my wheelchair and just wheel me down the hall. So we did. And then he saw a man in a wheelchair at the far end of the hospital hallway. And he was, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he was strapped in the wheelchair because he was all slumped over and his eyes were closed. And Swami said, let's go say hello to that man. And so we wheeled him over. And Swami just said, good morning. I wish I could convey the power in his voice. So filled with love. So filled with, here I am in my own recovery of my hip surgery, but this man needs energy and love. And it was amazing to watch this man. It was like he came out of a sleep. And you could feel the consciousness returning to his being. And he opened his eyes and he looked at Swami as though he was coming out of a dark dream, which he probably was. And he just said, good morning. And that was all. But the ability to look for where love is needed, where energy is needed, this is how we live the teachings and how we become more in tune with the source, with Master and Swami, God and Guru. If we can be channels of that love, Master said the channel is blessed by what flows through it. And if we can be channels for that love to all, that is our path to help change the world, change ourselves, and find the joy and the peace that these great ones come to give us. So many thanks to all of you and to God and Guru.